afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you new Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo Switch. Yet another game that has new in the title, even though it will probably end up becoming old, because inevitably pretty much everything is going to be old unless the second coming happens like tomorrow or something like that. The reason why it was called that is because the first Pokemon Snap came out on the Nintendo 64 in 1999, so 22 years is definitely more than enough time to really refine a sequel. Now, I haven't played the original game. I'm not even really a Pokemon fan for that matter. But seeing how gorgeous this game was in the trailers, seeing that Game Freak wasn't doing it, and seeing as I'm actually a really big fan of photography in real life, even if I don't talk about it very much, got me intrigued at the possibility of turning an entire game out of the Pictobox side quest in the Wind Waker. So the basic premise is that your character, with very limited customization options, rides in a vehicle known as the Neo 1, which is actually just an anagram for 1-1, so 2. And they follow along a preset path, kind of like the Star Fox games, and you can aim in total 360-degree angles. Take that, Super Mario 3D World, and you snap pictures of the Pokemon and occasionally other stuff like crystal blooms and ancient ruins. Your photos are ranked from 1 to 4 stars, but we'll get to that later. For now, you are observing the Pokemon in their natural habitat, and instead of them fighting to kill each other and you trying to capture them, you're just allowing them to roam free and taking pictures of them. Now, just in case the Pokemon aren't cooperating in the way you want them to, you have a couple of tools at your disposal to get them to behave. This gradually is drip-fed to you over the course of the game, and there's even post-game abilities that you can unlock. But regardless, it's still a decent variety. You can toss apples at the Pokemon, which sometimes they'll eat, sometimes it'll just make them flinch, sometimes that'll make them run away. You can play a song for them, which is actually kind of annoying and sort of takes away from the experience because it clashes terribly with the background music. You can also do a scan, which sometimes causes the Pokemon to hear it, but more often than not, it allows you to discover secrets like a hidden route that you can take through the level, or a new area that you can photograph that'll give the professor an idea on how to progress to the next course. And the final option is that you can make the Neo 1 go faster, although this is one of the last abilities that you learn, so why wasn't that a thing earlier when I was getting bored of revisiting an environment? This game is pretty short, and there's not a whole lot of different scenery. There's 3 levels alone that take place in a watery setting, which I have no complaints about. I love water. But the fact remains that this is going to be over in about, I would say, 2 to 4 hours, depending on how thorough you want to put your photo decks. But one thing that the game does to try to artificially lengthen the replay value is, 1, you can only show 1 photograph per Pokemon per expedition to the professor. So say you've taken a photo of 1 Pokemon and each of them has a different star rating. Well, you can only choose 1. So say you have a 3-star and a 4-star, you have to choose which one you want to show the professor. And that can be a bit tedious, because then it means you have to find the Pokemon again and try to take another picture. And if you give him the 4-star picture first, then if you want to really complete the photo decks, you have to take worse pictures. So the game is encouraging you to stink more? Well, I guess that makes it more casual friendly. You also get what's called a research level. As you take more photographs and earn more different star pictures, then you gain the ability to revisit a level, but this time the Pokemon are more comfortable with you, so they'll have new animations, and there will also be other Pokemon that didn't appear on your first run through. So if you keep visiting levels, they will eventually change and evolve. See what I did there, Pokemon fans? But you can always lower down your level if you ever miss the old settings, and if that helps you in completing the pictures. Honestly, I never saw a need for lowering my level because I'm not a completionist. I just wanted to beat the main game, and there wasn't really a reason to return to old areas. But that brings up one of the biggest problems I have with the game, and that's its structure. See, New Pokemon Snap has certain parameters that it reaches when it finally decides, hey, let's show you a new area. but it's not always clear what you have to do to get to the next area. You might think to yourself, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep taking pictures of more Pokemon or revisit old areas. But more often than not, I discovered that the best way to do it was to go to the latest course and try to get to at least a level 2 rating, and also make sure you've both photographed any ancient ruins that you see and also photograph any crystal bloom flowers that are glowing, because that's going to be a kicker. The professor will say, hey, I need this glowing flower. Take a picture of it. And that leads to one of the game's most uninteresting mechanics, which is called the Illumina phenomenon. Basically, in this region of Lentil, which itself is an anagram for talent, some Pokemon are able to glow. Yeah, big whoop. And once you have photographed a crystal bloom flower in a glowing state, then you get the ability to throw Illumina orbs, which, if you throw them at a Pokemon, it makes them glow. There are some Pokemon that are so rare that they're called Illumina Pokemon, and capturing pictures of them will allow you to progress the game's story. It's not particularly great. I could probably sum up the storyline in one sentence, but it does give you a good reason to have context as to why you're taking all these pictures, even if the story itself isn't going to win any medals. One thing that is going to win medals, though, are this game's presentation. Oh my gosh, this has to be one of the most beautiful games on the Switch, and it really kind of throws a slap in the face to Pokemon Sword and Shield, because this is how I would envision a new generation Pokemon game to look on the Switch, and it just blows Sword and Shield out of the water. I mean, the original Pokemon Snap did too, but this is on the same hardware, and it still looks like it could be Nintendo's next system, as even zooming in on the textures, which normally end up looking really blurry on the Switch when you zoom in, but the textures in this game actually look really stunning. And there wasn't really anything that I thought was ugly. Sure, the Pokemon designs have been the same basically ever since the GameCube days, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're really well animated, and it's really nice to see how they interact with other Pokemon and different parts of the environment, like when a Squirtle is riding atop a Lapdos, or when a Tanglogrowth is eating one of the foods from the coconut trees. Stuff like that really helps the world feel alive, and that the Pokemon aren't just monsters that are fighting each other and standing in place to do the same old animations. It feels like each of them was lovingly crafted, and they wanted this game to be a showstopper title where if you said, dang, this looks gorgeous, you're going to say that as a general statement and not just by Switch standards. The music is pretty good. You have the option to turn it off if you don't like it. It sort of has that kind of an orchestra, but kind of not. Now, I don't know if that's the case or not, because the music was kind of more in the background when I played. But overall, I still liked it. I think it fit the Pokemon atmosphere really well without sounding like cliche Pokemon music, if you know what I mean. There's also voice acting. Admittedly, it's very sporadic, and I mean, it's not Oscar-worthy, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of just there. And there's also fully animated cutscenes, which are really insanely short. With the exception of the final cutscene, they're pretty much over before you can process that there is a cutscene. And the characters are incredibly bland. Pretty much everyone is just so happy-go-lucky, nothing ever bothers them or stresses them out, and they more or less amount to, hey, let's take more pictures and let's find more glowing Pokemon. That's pretty much the extent of the character development here, but from what I've heard, that's not really Pokemon's strength. The goal of this game is to provide a competent photograph simulator, and New Pokemon Snap does a great job. Now, you can also turn this into even more of a simulator if you're playing this in handheld mode, as you have the option to use motion controls to aim the camera like you would in real life. I personally didn't try this because I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm kind of tired of motion controls, and that's why I'm really excited for Skyward Sword HD. But I imagine that would be really cool for people that really want to get immersed, or they don't like the default speeds of the camera controls, and they want to, have their own precise movements. But overall, I think this game does a great job of helping you feel like you're really in control with the Neo 1, even slowing down when you're either zoomed in or facing backwards, which the game doesn't tell you until way too late, which seems to be another problem, is the best stuff is always saved for last. And it hardly ever felt like I was not having the freedom that I wanted. Like, you can only take 72 pictures per expedition, but only once did I ever run out of those pictures. I felt like I'm not the type of person in general that likes to snap like 5 different pictures of the same thing when you're taking family pictures. I'm like, just one is enough. And generally speaking, having that mindset in the game really helps that I didn't feel like I had to massively conserve any of my pictures. I felt like, you know what, I'm given just about enough for the expedition. And they didn't seem to drag on too long or too short. The length seemed to be just right, and just about when I was ready for it to be over, it was over. And it ended up being cool. New Pokemon Snap was an alright experience. I don't think I would call it a masterpiece, but I would definitely say that it's a great showcase for how good Pokemon games could actually look if they had a competent team of developers. And even though the structure is honestly kind of terrible, and the characters are very bland and forgettable, if you really like photography and you really want to see Pokemon looking better than they've ever looked, with the possible exception of Pokken Tournament, then this is currently the best option that I can think of. If you're not a photography fan and you prefer the more traditional battles of Pokemon, you're not going to like this game at all. But if you're the type of person that when you're going hiking or at a natural park and you wish you had another set of eyeballs because you want to look at everything and take a picture of everything and you've got like 10,000 pictures on your phone, this game is going to be a masterpiece either way. So I wouldn't recommend paying $60 for this because it's so short and all you're really doing is taking pictures. But if you can find it on sale or rent it, like I did from Gamefly, you'll find a couple of hours worth of enjoyment. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a comment and tell me how I did or what you think. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and let's hope that if they make a Wind Waker remake on the Switch, that they'll really double down on that pictograph side quest and actually give you a competent reward. Bye!